Hello, hello. Looks like we're live. Let's see if my volume's turned up here. Hello. Looks like I can hear myself.
Looks like we're live.
Perfect. Let's see if my volume's turned up here. Hello. Awesome. Looks like I can hear myself.
So today, on this live session, we are going to talk about some camping mistakes, common camping mistakes. We'll give it another minute or so for others to jump in, and if not, we'll just start off the video. This is a interesting subject because it's one of which I'm very familiar with. I'm very used to making mistakes camping, forgetting things. Well, we'll get into it, but I'm very familiar with this particular topic. So, yeah, like I said, we'll just give it maybe another 20 or 30 seconds. Again, it's a little late in the night, but being a new papa, I don't have a lot of time to do these for now, but it'll change in the future where I can maybe start to do some earlier videos and earlier live chats, and then of course I'll be going out and doing some outdoor adventures again, so some camping, some hiking. I plan on going out doing some videos with my electric bike that I'm going to be purchasing probably in the next week or so. I'm just doing some research on some electric bike, some really good bikes. Unfortunately, they're really expensive, but it's a good method of travel rather than having a car, especially if we're going to see an increase in gas prices. So they're really expensive, but it's a good method of travel rather than having a car, especially if we're going to see an increase in gas prices. So they're really expensive, but it's a good method of travel rather than having a car, especially if we're going to see an increase in gas prices. Well, you know what? Let's just jump right into the. Let me just turn that off. It's going to annoy me. Okay. Let's just turn that off. Let's just jump right into the. So there's some sounds blinging in the background here. Let's just turn that off. There we go. Jump right in. Yeah, so I wanted to chat today in regards to camping mistakes. I wanted to this is a big one, and like I said, I'm just gonna move this away a little bit here. I'm littered with camping mistakes. I've made so many throughout the years since I was camping as a 5-year-old all the way up until as an adult. But yeah, there's tons of different things that you kind of have to remember, especially if you're doing backcountry camping. Driving camping, you can definitely make some mistakes there. Oh, hey Amanda, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for jumping on. Driving camping, you can definitely make some mistakes there. Oh, hey Amanda, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for jumping on. I can actually. Oh, here we go. Driving camping, you can definitely make some mistakes there. Oh, hey Amanda, how's it going? Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, so there's definitely some things I want to cover off, mistakes that I've made in camping, and just some things in general that you can sort of just put on your list and definitely create checklists when you're going out that I've venturing in camping. And but I would say the first sort of the first thing you want to look at as far as camping before you go on a trip is camping setup mistakes. There's lots of mistakes that you can make while you're setting up camp, or you're planning your you're looking for your actual campsite. You're looking for things like even ground. Do you have tree coverage? Things like that. So choosing a bad campsite has really affected me over the years with my camping. There's been times where I've picked a campsite and it kind of flows down. Am I echoing? Oh, I think that was earlier, but let me just see if it's still going on. And it kind of flows down. Am I echoing? Oh, it is. Okay, hold on. Not sure why it's echoing. Let me just fix that. Can you give me a thumbs up, Amanda, if that echo has fixed? Can you let me know if the echo has fixed on the audio? Or anybody that's on the live chat? Still echoing? Hopefully not. Ah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, weird. Not sure why it was echoing. Okay, perfect. Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I'm still somewhat new to this whole streaming thing, but I do love it. Yeah, so talking about camping setup mistakes. There's tons of camping setup mistakes that you can make just finding a camp spot. I was mentioning earlier, so I had once found a camp spot that was kind of on a slope going downwards, and it kind of flattened out. I'm like, oh, this is a nice spot. I didn't think too much about camping at the bottom part of a slope, and then that evening it rained, like it absolutely poured, and then the water just kind of flowed into my campsite and just completely soaked me in my tent, and it was just an absolute disaster. It kind of wakes you up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and it's just really super annoying. So choosing an actual campsite is really important. Like, take your time, drive around to different spots, find ones that like this is flat, it's got tree coverage, it's right beside the river but not too close to the river. It's maybe or lake, if there's water and the water starts to swell, is it going to take me away in the middle of the night? So, planning as far as looking for a campsite is really important. Setting up your tent incorrectly, that's another thing you got to plan for. So, one thing that I do is if I've purchased a new tent, then I will pre-set it up a couple of times at home. There's been times where I haven't set it up at all at home, but if I have a tent and it looks a little complicated for me, which isn't saying much, but then I'll set it up at home. I'll make sure that I understand how it works before I get into the backcountry or into my campsite, and then that way when I set it up, I'm ready to go, and it's done in 3 or 4 minutes, and you're good to go and start camping and having fun. And then the other thing as far as planning would be proper insulation and warm clothing and things to keep you warm. That's a pretty big one. The temperature can drop from, in my case, I don't know, like 10 degrees Celsius, and it can drop to -2, 3, 4 degrees Celsius. And so you think that you're warm the evening before, but like I said, the weather can change on a dime. We'll get into weather as well shortly, but the weather can definitely change on a dime. So you definitely got to plan out, bring extra layers, 2 or 3 layers, to keep yourself warm just in case. And because you never know how quickly weather can change, especially even in midsummer, the weather can change drastically within an hour or two. So yeah. So the other thing would be planning and preparation mistakes, which is pretty key. If you're doing driving camping, it's there's a little bit more room for forgiveness, I would say, for planning and preparedness. But if you're doing backcountry hiking and camping, it can get definitely a lot more sketch if you've forgotten some things. So we talked a little bit about weather. Like, you definitely want to check weather. Make sure that you've got the next couple of days lined up, and you say, okay, well, it's supposed to rain a little bit. The temperature's supposed to be, 10, 15 degrees Celsius. That's good. It's not supposed to rain, but I'll bring, a tarp and some other stuff just in case. So keep a close eye on the weather. If you have certain devices, like I don't know if you're going to be camping in an area that has cell service, just keep tracking, download a weather app, make sure that you're watching the weather. And in my case, I have a watch as well that I can sort of jump on and check the weather, and it'll show me the temperature and all that stuff. So keep a close eye on the weather. That's a big one. That can throw off campers in a little bit of a loop if you haven't sort of been watching that very closely, because it can change really quickly. If you're a public camper and you like to do the drive-in camping where you reserve your camping spot, one thing that you want to keep a close eye on is the check-in time of your campsites. A lot of them will have a check-in time. It's usually around here in British Columbia, or at least in Canada, it's like 11 a.m. Check-in time. So make sure your check-in time. Make sure you're not late to your check-in time, because sometimes the forest rangers or whatever they're called, they'll give you a hard time. In some cases, there might even be fees if you're late for your little camping session. and they might even just give your spot up to another camper, because these days campsites are like gold. So you make sure you're watching your time, make sure you're early to your campsite, and you're ready to have the time to set up and chill, and you've got enough daylight as well to set up your campfire and all that stuff. I mean, setting up in the dark, especially if you're driving into a campsite that's way far out. In my case, there was a previous video where we drove along a logging road for like 80 kilometers, and we were doing some off-roading and just having a blast, and we weren't really paying attention to the time. And then before we knew it, it was starting to get dark, and we're like, oh crap, okay, we're not even at the campsite here. We've been having too much fun. We're not paying attention to time. And so we ended up getting to the campsite, and it was pitch dark when we were setting up our tents and all that stuff, and it just doesn't make it very enjoyable. You can't sit down, relax, have some sunlight to get your kindling and your firewood and stuff put together. So it's just keep an eye on the time and all that stuff. We talked about like testing your tent, so setting up your tent before, but test other gear as well. So like if you have tons of new pieces of gear, for example, I have a LifeStraw water filter, and I was just curious on how to set it up and how to reverse flush the water filter if it gets clogged, and a variety of other things. So if you have like new gear or like even a camp stove, just test it out first, crank it on, light it up, and just make sure to test it properly so that you're comfortable when you get to your camp spot. That's a pretty big deal as well. It can be pretty cumbersome, right? And then lighting, of course, right? So if you have like a headlight and you haven't tested it before, for example, before your trip, and the batteries are dead. I mean, in my case, I have a USB one, so maybe I didn't charge it, or you didn't bring extra batteries. Then you're camping without a headlamp or a lantern or whatever, and then you're again walking around in the dark, and it's kind of going to be annoying for you on that camping trip in the evenings, possibly. So test your gear before you go. That's the other big thing I would say. Don't go overboard with camping gear, I would say. That's kind of a big one. I mean, if you're doing drive-in camping, that's different. Drive-in camping, stack your car up, it's fine. Like, just bring all the stuff that you want. But if you're doing backcountry stuff and you've got a backpack and you've got to hike, 10, 15, 20, 30 kilometers into the backcountry, you really want to keep everything to a minimum. Light foods, one sleeping bag. Just keep things to a bare minimum of the essentials and maybe some additional stuff. But you definitely want to keep things to a minimum. Keep your weight down on your pack. That way you're not walking around with excessive weight on your back, which can be really cumbersome and annoying. And that'll definitely leave you unprepared as well. In one of my previous live videos, we talked about first aid kits. First aid kit. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for joining the chat. Shoop. So first aid kit is like, it's essential. You have to have it in your pack, in your car. If you just keep one in your car, keep one in your pack. You can get some decent ones at Costco or Atmosphere or MEC, and they got little ones, small ones, big ones. You never know when you might need like a couple of Tylenols for whatever reason the next morning, or that evening maybe you turned your ankle and you need to sort of bring the swelling down. So yeah, first aid kit is kind of a given, but a lot of people forget to bring them. I always just pack my car with multiple first aid kits so that I'm prepared, and I don't have I'll need Band-Aids or maybe some alcohol rubbing sort of cloths or whatever, so that if I get cut, which I have been many times in the outdoors, either I scuff myself with an axe or a knife or whatever, it's nice to have that kit close by so that you can sort of cleanse yourself up and bandage yourself up, which I have again done many times. not enough food and water. This is a big one. So you need to bring enough food and plus in it. Like you need to sort of add additional food in there, right? Like, so if you have like 3 meals planned for that day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're like, 3 meals for that day is fine, and then 3 meals for the next day or whatever, just sort of double it. Like, I know you're spending a little bit extra money on buying, dehydrated meals, and those can get quite costly and expensive, but it's good to just have double ups with your food, because you never know, one, if something happens with one of your meals, maybe a mouse gets into it when you're camping overnight in your tent, which I've had happen as well. Or you never know, like maybe somebody that you were hiking and camping with needs an extra meal, and maybe they forgot theirs or something happened to theirs, or maybe somebody on the trails had lost their meal and they just need extra food. And so it's just always best to double things up as far as your food. Just in case. And that goes for water too. I tend to bring a decent amount of water, but I have my LifeStraw water bladder, and I have my LifeStraw gravity bag. And I'll just make sure that I'm near, like on the way to the trail to the campsite. I'll make sure that I'm looking at different running creeks along the way, or there's a little creek or river over there. I sort of make a mental note when I walk past it, so that way, if I need to circle back and grab some water, I know exactly how far I am away from that water. So food and water is like super important. It's easy to get dehydrated, especially when you're cutting wood for like a while and you don't even think about it. Or if you've been sweating and it's like 20-30 degrees Celsius weather, and you're sweating, and you're like, oh man, I have not drank enough water. And that goes for electrolytes too. I like to just throw a couple of electrolytes in my bag, like the Mio Squirt juices, and it makes the water taste good as well. So yeah, that's really important stuff. So storing food properly is a big one. So I'm in bear country, and all too often some people won't tie a string around their bag or whatever and string it up on a branch. They'll just kind of leave it in their tent or around their tent, and then what happens next? Well, you get a bear sniffing right next to your head while you're in your tent. And I have done that too. I am definitely very guilty of that, but definitely string up your bags to get them away from the bears. Lock them in your car so that they're not smelling the food, and that way. And if you're stringing up into a tree, string it up like a distance away from your camp spot. That way, those bears aren't sort of walking around your campsite, and they don't freak you out in the middle of the night. So storing food is really important when you're camping. There's lots of bear-proof containers that you can buy. You can just go on Amazon and find tons of them. In fact, let's just load up Amazon right now and see if we can't find some bear-proof. Amazon.ca bear-proof containers. That's why I love Amazon. It's got everything you need. No, that's not what I was picturing, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different containers, but Backpacker's Cache bear-proof container. So there you go. That's a really large one, it looks like, though. But there's tons of different things that you can buy. Airtight coffee canister. You just got to do some digging. Oh, UDAP. Pierce, no-fed bear with case bear-proof food canister. So, yeah, you can find tons of stuff. For me, I'll just grab these hanging sacks, which are also waterproof. So these ones here, yeah, this one has like 10 liters, 15 liters, and it looks like it comes with rope. It's cheap. It's $49, and that way you can string it up and get it away from your camp. Because yeah, it's important to do that. Yeah, and then there's other things I want to cover off here. So fire safety. Let's get into some fire safety. So where I live, it's in British Columbia, and there is tons and tons of forest fires every year. It's crazy. It's getting, things are so dry, and we have there's a certain type of beetle. Fire safety. I like to have a whiteboard. It just kind of feels like I'm important. Fire safety. Yeah, so make sure that if you have a fire and if you're allowed to have a fire, make sure it's within the certain restrictions. I know, like, if there's a fire ban, there's certain restrictions where you can only have a fire like 1 meter in height, and maybe that's width too. I don't know. So make sure that you've read up on all the fire safety regulations first before you go camping or you do the backcountry stuff, and make sure you're not breaking those rules, because there's a massive fine to do that. So Shoop said, I saw this post that the park board said it's hard to design a garbage bin to keep the smartest bears out, but still let the dumbest humans access. That's so true. That is so true. And that's hilarious. And it's funny. I've talked about this in so many live videos. It's crazy, but people are the worst, right? Like, they leave so much garbage and like food laying around and just so much crap. And there's no wonder that bears are like roaming around and like they love campsites, because people are just not following by the rules. They just leave stuff behind. And of course a bear is going to smell it, and it's go time for them, right? So yeah, totally true, Shoop. Am I saying that right? Shoop or Shup? I don't know. Yeah, so fire safety. So yeah, make sure to read through the regulations. Make sure that you've got the height and the width correct. There's lots of information on sites where you can look that up. And then the biggest thing is to make sure that the fire is fully out. We're talking buckets and buckets of water. Like, if it's still smoking, in my opinion, you're going to want to still continue to put water on the fire. If you're leaving that camp spot and it's still smoking, there's probably some embers in there that are still burning, and those embers can travel like a very, very long distance, in some cases kilometers or miles, right? So put it out. If there's fire bans in place, don't have a fire. Like, I know fires it's like 90% of what makes camping, but it's not worth it. And if you're found out and it's found out that one of the forest fires are caused by you making a fire when you're not allowed to, then I think there's like $1 million fine or something like that, where you can just get completely destroyed by that fine. So yeah, it's not worth it. And there's lots of other options. You can use propane. I don't know if there's restrictions in some areas where you can't use propane, but yeah, that's the other thing, is fire safety is really important if you're going camping and you're looking for a spot. Look up the regulations. So if you're going camping, make sure to bring a backup stove. That's the other big thing. I've been stuck where I've tried to screw on one of the stoves that I purchased. It was a little pocket rocket, and it wasn't working for some reason. I don't know what it was, but it just wasn't working. But I had a much bigger one in the car. Luckily, I was driving camping. But like, just bring a backup stove just in case. If you're using your main burner or whatever, just bring a little pocket rocket with you and a little extra canister of fuel, just in case, because you never know, and you don't want to be stuck like 90 kilometers, 100 kilometers into a logging road and not be able to cook your food, especially if there's a fire ban in place. So you definitely want to have a backup stove. That's important. You also don't want to cook too. So there's two things, twofold. You don't want to cook too close to your tent, and you don't want to have a fire too close to your tent. I know this seems like common, but all it would take is, your tent's right here. You're camping out here. I'm gonna draw me out, right? You got your fire here. That's a terrible fire, but whatever. I'm gonna have a cool haircut. And then it's so common for embers to like land on your tent and just burn holes, not just through your tent, but like to burn holes through your really expensive camping chairs. I've burned so many holes through my lightweight, ultralight camping chairs and through my tents, just because I set up my tent way too close to the fire. All right. same thing with cooking. Don't cook with like a pocket rocket or a different, like a fuel burning stove in your tent, unless it's like one of those big tents with ventilation, because that's a huge fire hazard, right? You just really got to ignore that. Sorry, you really can't be doing that. Sorry. So that's the biggest thing, is don't cook by your tent. Don't cook in your tent unless you have like proper ventilation, and make sure that your tent is far enough away from the fire so that you're not doesn't like burn holes or catch fire in the middle of the night, because that's the last thing you want, is 2 or 3 in the morning and your tent's caught fire. I'm sure that the material they use is, I'm sure it won't catch fire, but it'll definitely freak you out in the middle of the night. Yeah, and so there's lots of different things. We talked about storing food properly. When you're done camping at your camp spot, the rule of thumb is that your camp spot should be cleaner than when you got to the site. Doesn't matter if it's a public campground. It doesn't matter if you're doing backcountry. In my case, like, I'll bring a few extra garbage bags with me. And if I see extra, like, empty beer cans or just garbage laying around, I'll just pick it up, throw it in garbage bags, and I'll take it with me. And I'll try to have the spot cleaner than when I first got in there, because there's nothing more frustrating than seeing garbage around in campsites. And if you have registered, so if it's like a public campground, they'll have your information most likely, so they might even fine you if you've left stuff behind. So do not leave any traces that you were even there at that campsite. Just clean up after yourself. Usually they have like garbage bins or recycling bins that are outside of your campsite. And so, yeah, there's lots of things that you have to look out for. Another one that's common is feeding wildlife. So all too often I see people kind of feeding bears and feeding squirrels and birds and all that type of stuff, and feeding them really terrible foods as well. So just be very careful about that. Obviously, the more that you feed bears, the more the bears are going to come to your campsite, and the last thing we want is for like the police or animal control or whatever it is to come out and have to put down an animal because they've just been fed by us dumb humans, right? Just giving them food and hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff. So definitely make sure to not feed the wildlife. I remember growing up, when there's a hike that I used to go to, and I still do actually. I'm planning on going this year, but it's called Elfin Lakes, and I'll show you what that looks like. Elfin Lakes, and these birds are called whiskey jacks. So these birds, basically growing up, like we were always we would always feed them, thinking, oh, they're so friendly, these birds, right? Like, and then I think over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe they put in some rules and regulations where you are not allowed to feed the birds. I think because the birds were just getting sick, and it's the same thing with the other animals as well. It's so hard not to, because they land on your hand if you have like cashews or peanuts on your hand, and so just don't feed the wildlife. It's not good for them. The food that we eat is definitely not good for them. So just be cognizant of that, I would say. Let's get rid of my terrible drawing here. I blame the app, it's not me. So one really important thing that you definitely want to bring with you is to forget toilet paper. Toilet paper is a big one. This is going to be a little bit embarrassing, but there was one trip where I actually forgot to bring some shit tickets, and I had to use like a bunch of receipts that I had in my wallet because I didn't have toilet paper. So it seems like such a small thing, but toilet paper is like, it's kind of a big thing, really. You definitely want to have toilet paper, and you want to bring ample amounts of it just in case. And I don't know, like if you're doing drive-in camping, like just hand wipes and stuff, don't throw them in the don't throw the wipes in the outhouses or anything. Yeah, Amanda, yeah, it wasn't fun. Luckily, there was a lake at the campsite, so that's okay. No. But yeah, if you're bringing wipes, don't throw those in the outhouse and stuff. Just put them in your garbage bag and throw them away later. But yeah, it's definitely bring shit tickets with you. It's very important. And this is kind of gross, but if you're camping in like the backcountry and you're using the bathroom, just do it like a really good distance away from where you're camping, and bring a shovel with you maybe. Like, I don't know, I bought a 3-piece shovel from Amazon. It's really durable, and if you can sort of dig a nice little hole there and throw your stuff away in there so that it's not like laying around, because that's really disgusting. Nobody wants to step in that when they're trying to walk around in their campsite, and all too often I've seen that. Like, it's pretty gross. So yeah, bring a shovel, buy a shovel. They're like $40-$50. You can get a multiple piece aluminum shovel. I think it's aluminum. I don't know. Maybe it's not aluminum, but it's pretty durable and it'll get the job done. But don't leave waste around your campsite as well. Wearing the wrong clothing and footwear. So Shoop said, you need to Google what plants are safe for butt wiping. Google Lens. That's totally true. Yeah, there's like apps I think that'll show you different plants, right? I wouldn't say I'm comfortable enough knowing, but I know that moss is one of those solid ones, right? So if you got moss, if there's moss in your surrounding area, you could probably grab a few handfuls of that and you'd be in business, I think. But the Google Lens, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you're just walking around with your Google Lens. People may make fun of you, but that's fine. You're seeing all the plants that you can wipe your butt with. So wear appropriate clothing and footwear. So footwear is a big one. I've seen... yeah, Shoopy, you're hilarious. I've seen... This is crazy, but I've seen like on really long hikes, like, I don't know, like 10 kilometers in distance, I've seen people wearing like sandals. And I just think to myself, you're wearing sandals on these crazy hikes, and I never see them carrying a backpack. They're just carrying like one bottle of water, and I don't know if they're going the full way, but man, it's just a terrible idea. If you definitely want to turn your ankle, then wear sandals on hikes. But get yourself a really good pair of hiking boots. I wear Solomon's. I've worn Solomon's for a long time now. And yeah, there's lots of good deals that you can find for Solomon. They're a little bit more expensive. Like you'll be paying like $200 to $300. But it's about comfort. I mean, if you're camping and you hike into a spot, definitely bring an extra pair of sandals with you, like light sandals that you can get at a dollar store or whatever. So that way you can switch out of your boots and into your sandals. Because man, it's so nice to have your feet breathe. After you've had like a 10, 15, 20 kilometer hike, just to get your feet out of those and out of the socks and boots, because it feels so much better. So yeah, clothing and footwear, like a nice warm sweater. I like camping in the winter, so I like to wear one of those face cover masks that warm your neck, and it also warms your nose and your mouth. And because I feel like it gets to minus 10, 15, 20 degrees, and it makes a world of difference for me. It keeps your hot breath in there, and you can also push it up to your ears if you want to keep yourself warm. So definitely bring some decent clothing, some good warm wear. I've been seeing a lot of heated vests. I have a heated jacket, a heated vest that I wear, and it's great actually. So maybe I'll put the information in the description. There was a company that sent it to me to try out, and I've used it ever since. It just has a little battery that goes in the inside pocket, and you can heat up your chest, you can heat up your shoulders, your neck, your back, and it lasts for quite some time. And so like push comes to shove, if you don't use it throughout the day and you're cold at night, then you can just crank that puppy on and throw it in your sleeping bag and put it around your feet or your legs, and you're staying warm for probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, and it'll keep you warm. But those are great as well. Those heated vests, man, I love it. It really, really keeps you warm. A map or compass is one thing I wanted to talk about. These days, there's lots of GPS. You can download AllTrails on your phone. Shoop said, do you have leeches where you are? Yeah, we have, that's a baklava. Yeah, exactly, Amanda. Yeah, baklava. We definitely have lakes that have leeches in them. I myself have never been suckered by a leech. There is a trip that I want to do, which is in an area called Bowen Lakes. And in the Bowen Lakes, there's certain stagnant lakes where you're kind of wading through the water a little bit, and you'll definitely get a few leeches suckering on your legs and your arms and who knows where. But yeah, we definitely have leeches in our lakes for sure. Download AllTrails. Everyone watching this video should download AllTrails. You can download offline maps. I think you need a membership for it, but it's so worth it. It's got me out of some binds on some of my treks and my hikes. It shows you where you've walked. It shows you where to return back to. It gives you it's just excellent. AllTrails does an amazing job. And I think you can also carve your own trails out. If there's nothing that doesn't exist on AllTrails, you can also do it yourself. But AllTrails is great to. And then Google Maps, I download offline Google Maps. Everything's digital these days, but yeah, I definitely download Google Maps of my surrounding area of where I'm about to go, so that you don't need cellular data in order to see where you're going. Google Maps, offline maps is great. Bring a physical map, right? Like if you're going somewhere, get a waterproof Ziploc bag and put the map in there. It's always good to have a paper map as well. I talked a little bit about my GPS watch, which is a Garmin. I use that often on hikes. It'll show me where I've gone, so it'll give me a return back for my hike. So yeah, technology is great. There's lots of good stuff out there. Just it's spending the money, and that really you can go down a lot of rabbit holes in spending money. So Amanda said, "Stand by Me" with the movie The Leeches scene. Yeah, let's load that up. Stand by Me Leeches scene. Let's check it out. Stand by Me Leeches. I remember that movie. Yeah, I totally remember that movie. Yeah, leeches are so weird. They're just weird creatures. Super strange. Leeches are nuts. I think the other thing too, and this is something that I need to work on a lot. I really, really need to work on this, but basic survival skills. Basic survival skills, right? Learn how to start a fire. The one thing I'm jealous about is the people that can sort of rub sticks together and make fire, or, so that's one thing I think I'm going to learn as far as a skill in the future. The problem with the wood here in British Columbia is that it rains all the time, so it's really difficult to start a fire that way. But I definitely want to learn that skill and other ways of making fire as well. Learning knots, right? Learning different types of knots, like slip knots and a whole variety. I've got 3 or 4 videos downloaded of just different types of knots that I've learned, and I forgot like half of them. But setting up your tarp, making sure that it's tight, that it's locked in, so that if it gets windy overnight, your tarp's not blowing around everywhere. So. I am terrible at knots, but that's another skill that I think everyone should have, is tying really good knots, because I'm not good at it. Not good at it, pun intended. And how to purify water, right? So, like I said, I bring my Life Straw with me, but maybe you bring some tablets with you as well. If your Life Straw is clogged up and it's not working, you can just throw some tablets in your water. It'll clean up your water. Maybe it'll have some soot in the water still, but it's drinkable and it's killed all the bacteria. Cryptosporidium, is that what it is? Cryptosporidium, and all the other little bacteria that can really make you sick for hours on end and give you Montezuta's revenge. But yeah, the basic survival stuff, like how to clean water is a big one, I would say. Signaling for help, and that's why a fire is really good, right? Because people can see the smoke. But signaling for fire, looking for like dead wood that's like vertical and it's not laying flat, so that it's dry enough you can cut it up and really get the fire going and get the smoke going. And you can really put like, you know, pine needles on there if you need to really smoke that fire up to signal for help. I've seen lots of videos of Survivor Man and other channels out there where they just bring a mirror with them, so that if it's a sunny day they can sort of reflect. If a helicopter's trying to locate you, then you can sort of signal the helicopter, or just actually physically write help with sticks or whatever. So yeah, that's really important, is to just understand how to quickly make a fire, and then maybe like if you need to do a signal fire, that's really important, especially if you need help and you're in an emergency. I think underestimating hikes and trips is a big one as well. It's kind of the last one, and then maybe we can open it up to some conversation around here. But yeah, like I know myself, I've really underestimated some of the hikes that I've been on. One, for the amount of water I was supposed to bring, electrolytes, and a variety of camping gear. I mean, it goes on and on. But you know, you look at something and you'll say, oh, it's only a 4 or 5 kilometer long hike. That's nothing. That's not too bad. But then it turns out it's like how many thousands of feet or meters in elevation, or feet, I should say. So really do your research on the trail that you're going to hit up. Look at the things like the elevation. Look at the times in and out. Like I said, I'm just going to showcase All Trails. I'm sure, like, if you're an outdoors person, you'll know what All Trails is. But All Trails is, again, it's an app that you can install on your phone. It's not a sponsored video. Let's close that. And yeah, like let's look up Elfin Lakes, for example, right? So Elfin Lakes, and did it search? No, it didn't. I don't think. There you go. Right? So you open up the app, it shows you kind of the mountainous range that you're going to be doing. So if I go to Red Heather, and this will be looking on your phone, of course. Yeah, whatever, sure. Okay, whatever. Right? So it'll show you like a variety of things, but it'll show you the trail itself. It'll show you the elevation in meters, the elevation gain, and it'll show you exactly where that elevation is. And it'll, like, while you're hiking it, it's going to sort of track your hike. It's going to show like a green bolded line of what you've hiked so far, and it's going to show you an unbolded line of where you still need to go. And so it's just a really good app, and it's a good way to plan for your trips. But you definitely don't underestimate these hikes. A lot of them are deceiving. A lot of the trails are not as clear as you think. Maybe there's some overgrowth, or maybe there's some downed logs and trees. You just never know. So I'm just going to show what All Trails looks like here. Again, so it's going to show you from start to finish, and then in that part of the trail, it's going to show you the elevation, how far you are in distance. Hopefully you guys can all see that. Let me just make sure that you can. I think everyone can see that. Yeah. And like I said, while you're hiking, it shows you the start point. It will bold in green what you've currently hiked, and it's going to show you unbolded what you need to hike. And this is just kind of one of the trails that I frequent every year. And yeah, it's just a great app. I think you can also become a sponsor, like if you're an outdoor adventure channel or camping channel. I think you can sign up with them as a sponsor, and then they hook you up with some sort of deal. I don't know what it is. So every purchase that somebody makes off of All Trails, you make some money on. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Very cool app, and I use it for all of my hikes and my adventures. Yeah, there's lots of mistakes that people can make. I mean, again, I've made a lot myself, and those are just really kind of some of them. Oh yeah, just Amanda said best hiking BC shoe Solomon. Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing I make sure to bring with me is a couple of knives. There's this Swedish design knife that I use, and let me see if it's on Amazon. I think they probably have it on Amazon.ca. Swedish knife. Yeah, this one here. So this knife here, which is the Moran Kniv Companion. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. Let me just I think it's maximized already. Is it? No, it's not. It's maximized. So this knife is, I have 3 of them, and hopefully you guys can see that. But this knife works extraordinarily well. So I have a green one and I have 2 black ones. Now, one of my black ones has a built-in flint and steel, just kind of where the edge is, like where the end of the handle. So this knife, I swear by, it is a really, really well-designed knife. It's 32.90. The green one's 32.34. That's Canadian. I'm not sure what that is in American, but it's such a good knife. It stays sharp. It's really durable. It's got the belt holster kind of clip thingy, and yeah, I have 3 of them, and they all still work so well. I use them often. I haven't really had to sharpen them, actually, to be honest. So that's a really, really good piece, and I'll always bring two knives with me. So I have a really good quality folding knife that I just throw in my pocket, and then I have this one here that I bring with me on my trips, because you never know when you'll need a knife, right? Yeah, I need it for cutting paracord and rope and things like that for my tent and for my tarps and tons of other stuff, cooking meat and splitting some wood and all that stuff. So definitely get yourself a good knife, and I'm sure that half of you probably have really, really good quality knives. So for me, it's the price range for me, and it really, really cuts it. Pun intended again. Yeah. And then, of course, the hatchet, right? You definitely want to bring a little hatchet with you if you're doing the drive-in camping. Get yourself a decent little hatchet. And one thing that I always bring with me, and I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, but I bring a little sharpening tool. Let's see if axe sharpening tool. So there's lots of them, but where is it here? It took me a while to find it last. Here, this thing here. So this is the Sharpple, it looks like it's, what's it made out of? Tungsten, yeah. So this is made out of tungsten. And yeah, you just pop this in your pocket or just have it in your backpack. And this edge here really takes the metal off of your hatchet. So it'll tear it down a bunch. And then this part here will kind of straighten and smooth it out. Great way to sharpen your axe. I wouldn't suggest it maybe if you have a really expensive axe. Like if you have an axe that's $200 or $300, maybe you don't want to use that. But for the axe and hatchet that I have, I just bought them at Canadian Tire. It sharpens it in 5 or 10 minutes and you're golden. Yeah, so those are some real key things that you want to pay attention to. Planning is really, really important for camping. I mean, it's a little bit less so if you're doing drive-in camping, but backcountry camping, it's really, really important that you keep those things in the back of your mind, because you never know what you could forget. I mean, there's all the other things too, right? Like you can forget your spoon and your fork and your bowl and your cups and all that stuff, which is just an annoyance. It always sucks when you forget your camping cup and you really, really want to crush a coffee the next morning. You're like, oh man, I don't have my coffee cup. This sucks. You know, and so, yeah, it's always a good idea to bring those things and not forget them. But yeah, I constantly forget forks, knives, not like knives, like cooking knives and stuff like that, but and other variety of things. So let's open it up to the chat here. I've kind of been a chatty Cathy here this entire time, just talking about some camping stuff. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone in the chat doing? Everyone having a good Monday? Oh, I think everyone's used to me talking a bit too much, I think. Yeah, so I wanted to maybe showcase this one area that I like to frequent. Oh, did that close here? Oh, I think there's just a bit of a delay on when people are seeing what I'm saying in the live chat, and then them throwing the comments in the chat. So sorry, I think I'm gonna give it a little bit more time for people to throw in some comments, or for the people that are watching. So Amanda said, doing fabulous. I turned 41 in 10 days, so doing great. And then you put LOL. Is that an LOL meaning you're not happy to turn 41, or you are happy to turn 41? I turned 42. I turned 40. Oh my gosh. I turned 43 in about a month. I turned 43 in a month. So I am an old dad. For sure. Oh, just a meh. Just a meh. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Past 40, it's like, nothing cares anymore. Nothing really matters anymore. Up until 50 and 60, I guess. How is everyone else doing in the chat? How you doing this evening, Shoop? You having a good week? Start to your week? I think what I want to do is kind of do the... Oh, I can hear my baby crying here. That's okay. I probably have a second or... I probably got a few more minutes, but I wanted to... because I like to share content creators. So I'm just going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole and maybe share some camping mistakes with other content creators out there. And I'm going to go to maybe a channel that's kind of similar to mine in size. And there are so many videos, and it's crazy because there's a lot of like high views in a lot of these camping mistake videos. So let's check out a channel here. And it seems like me, there's lots of people that are making Lots of mistakes out there. So I'm going to load this video here. And every live video that I do, every live session, I want to showcase maybe one or two content creators and kind of show some of their videos, because I love doing that. I hope you guys enjoy that. If you don't, we can always change up the format. But yeah, every live video I want to definitely showcase another content creator. So the name of this channel is Get In Go. So GITT-N-GO. I haven't actually looked at this video yet, so hopefully there's no swearing on the video, but let's check it out. And the subject is solo hot tent winter camping fail in deep snow and freezing temperatures. So let's dive into this video. And hopefully you guys can hear.
It is deep. This is going to be trouble.
Is there an echo? Can you guys hear an echo at all in the video now? Or
into another issue. Zipper come off. Get up here, and it was melting.
Oh no!
I can hold it to.
Uh-oh. Was that a mouse? Did a mouse get in that? Yeah. If you guys could let me know in the chat if there is a echo in the video, please, in the sound. That would be great. Yeah, if you guys could let me know in... I'm going to mute that. Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Touch, like it's... You know what I mean? It's not like... I went to the garage and I got duct tape.
You know what? That's a good point. That's something I actually didn't mention, is duct tape. Duct tape is... How could I forget duct tape or Gorilla Tape? Duct tape is such a good add-on to bring with you. Oh, no echo. Hey, Julia. Yeah, no, yeah, duct tape for sure. You have to bring duct tape. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, if you got to patch up a tent or you gotta fix your hiking poles or whatever, duct tape, Gorilla Tape, that is your go-to for sure. This guy knows what's up.
I'm not prepared for no heat. I don't know what I can do, guys.
So he's winter camping and he's got a hole in his tent. Oh no, that's not good. Maybe it's not a bad idea to even if it is a new tent or if it's an existing tent, it's not a bad idea to maybe open up the tent and put it together, even if it's like an old tent you've been using for a while, because you never know if you have the tent in your garage and maybe a couple of mice jump in there and eat a few holes in your tent and you don't even know until you get to your spot. So that'd be so annoying.
I have to call this or...
That's a big tent. Oh.
So like these didn't snap or anything. They went on being cold, you figured it would be brittle, but those actually come out really good. And just quickly here too. So the actual cross pieces, the actual...
So this tent doesn't have a floor. Interesting. Okay.
Aluminum, I believe. 1/2-inch poles. So they're built for strength. Then we've got a couple 3/8 poles. 1, 2, 3/8 poles. And they just kind of, I forget what you call them, just some little cross pieces to keep the tent flared up.
I like this guy. Yeah,
he's the back door so far. Again, I haven't pegged this down
really
yet.
Explaining.
I just kind of wanted to show you what was going on.
I like it.
We still have a couple more pieces.
He's got a nice cozy chair too. It looks like.
I believe one is the inner tent. I'm not sure if it's got its own floor or what, but we'll figure that out.
Oh, there's an inner tent. Okay, so it's got an outer tent and an inner tent. Interesting.
Inside.
Huh.
Look at that.
That's a
huge
material
tent.
In there.
Again, we'll go through this.
It looks like it's really reflective for heat inside of it as well.
And I still got to move that patio slab over here where my wood stove's going to go.
This guy knows what's going on.
Get the bed all set up. So we'll continue. But for now, it's looking pretty good. I'm telling you, this material seems really, really thick. It seems really, really thick. And guys, one thing I love about this.
I can't see the brand.
This is the door.
Outdoors.
I
couldn't see the brand. It's probably in his description. Let's see. Links to Modern Nest. I can't see the name of his tent, so I'm not sure.
We have the door closed and see through it.
Oh, nice.
So I can't wait to check that out tonight.
That's cool.
Again, my fire pit I was able to uncover with the snow. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it yet.
This kind of
We're gonna
camping
see how
is
this wind,
by far my
holds
favorite
up,
type of
but,
camping, for sure,
all right,
100%.
Let's get back.
I
Let's
love
get back at
like
it.
the
Then
snow
we have
and
the inner tent that's inside this tent, and it is lined as well.
oh, okay, so his
We have a
inner
back
tent. This
door
thing
with
looks like it's
screen.
like from NASA or
There's
something.
vents, and there's a whole bunch of pockets, as you can
That's
see,
crazy.
all around the.
It's got a
the
floor and all
outsides.
that stuff.
Again, once we get my stuff in here, we'll get it filled up. And,
I wonder if it gets
we'll take
enough
it for another
like,
tour,
cool
but
air to flow through
you
it
go
with the
look
outer
straight
tent.
through,
I'm
it's
assuming
awesome.
it does. I mean,
And gives you a little pouch here you can connect, so you can put your gloves or whatever, put a little bit of
Nice.
storage up there, and it'll separate tent. So
that's cool. Oh, he's just shoveling the snow around the corner. There's something so satisfying about just watching people cut wood. I don't know what it is, but so, oh yeah, he's got the nice cold beverage.
have myself a Coors Light, and probably get some dinner going here soon.
I'm
So
so
for dinner,
jealous
I am
of wherever
doing
this guy is
beef
right
mango
now.
rice. So this is one of the easiest meals I've ever seen done.
So I just want to see.
And
Oh, okay,
I've tried it
so
before, and I have put this pipe wrap on.
okay, so
not burning,
he's got a
but
pipe
it's
feeding
transferring
out of the
heat through it,
tent
and I've got
here.
it rolled
So
up.
and this one's
And it's transferring heat through it. It's actually melting the plastic on the outside of the tent, the
Oh,
flap.
no.
So I think
Let's hear
we're
what he's
still
saying.
going through and melting the spot of the tent. I'm honestly at a loss here. So I tried to take that mat and I wrapped it around the pipe, even going through the tent as well, and then it ended up burning the mat. And those things are supposed to be like burn proof or something, but I don't know.
Huh.
People are lying to you, I think. So I honestly don't think it's a tent issue. I think it is one of my mistakes. I think not really my mistake, but I think this new stove in the stainless steel pipe, the stainless steel pipe is just too hot because it is still generating. So the
Interesting.
the flap. So I now have to figure out how to close this door because it's cold.
Oh no.
I can't have this door open all night.
See, this is where it's a good idea to sort of boil up some water and.
This is where the zipper got caught
Oh no.
and the material ripped. Again, it's not that tight. It's done normally. But we got the material ripped, boys.
I can guarantee you that he probably had 2 or 3 hours sleep that night, I would imagine. What do you guys think?
Oh, what am I gonna do? Don't know what I'm gonna do. That door would catch, if wind catch that door, you had it open, it didn't have it tied back, it would still touch the wood stove. So right now, I've got some wood at the bottom there. Probably can't see, just holding it in. I like them bite size, a little bit of bite size.
That's a cool stove that this guy's got set up, and he's got the fan kind of like acting like a convection oven, like blowing the hot air around. That's cool.
Just checking our water here.
Let's give this guy's video a like, and again, his channel is called Git and Go, Gittn Go, and I'll give him some cred in the description of my video. But I hate seeing I wouldn't call it a mistake versus maybe just the tent had a flaw. I don't know, but that sounds like it's gonna be a long night for him. Ugh. And thank you for sharing. Awesome. Let's get into one more video, and today's theme is camping mistakes. If you are just tuning in and you're just jumping on, maybe sort of back up the video a little bit where we just go through some common camping mistakes that people have had, including myself, over and over and over again. You can call it a fail, you can call it a mistake, or whatever you want. So let's look at this. Oh, that's a really big video. So let's look at this guy's video here. That's G.
In this video, I'm going to share the
So the name of this channel is Al Isndao. I'm just gonna put the video over here so you can see. ALINSDAU, and yeah, his big channel has got 35,000 views. And yeah, camping mistakes to avoid for beginners. So let's jump into his video. And then after, as per usual, we'll give it a like and subscribe. So let's see what he has to say.
Top mistakes you can make while tent camping. This video is directed to the beginner who isn't sure about what they want to do when they go camping, and these 9 things that I'm going to cover
testing
in this
a new
video
tent before camping,
are the
Julia,
biggest
totally,
things you need to
100%,
consider
always a
when
good
you're
idea.
going tent camping in the outdoors. The number one thing.
So I thought he had a good setup before, but then it seems like the zipper wasn't working, and then the tent was melting. I don't know if I was just, something's going on with his setup there. I don't know.
Is don't overpack. There's a temptation to bring every possible thing
we talked about this.
with you. A machete, a chainsaw, an extra tent, a double sleeping bag, a cot, crazy cookware. Believe me when I speak from experience. If you've ever heard of Grandma Gatewood who hiked the Appalachian Trail in Keds and not these crazy techie boots with all this stuff on her bag in a laundry sack, that's all she did, and she hiked thousands of miles. I've been in the outdoors for many, many years, and I've really pared it down to a few essentials that really makes the difference in my outdoor experience. So the best thing you can do is don't overpack. You really need
Very
a
true.
tent,
Yeah,
a
we talked
sleeping
about
bag, a pad to sleep on, some food, and that's it. Really, really simple.
Fire
Don't
making
go
materials,
crazy.
of course.
The next thing you need to consider are the nighttime temperatures. So often people who go out camping underestimate just how cold it gets in the woods at night.
Yeah,
because
totally.
unless you're living by the ocean and camping by the ocean, the temperature swing in areas like this can be 30 or 40 degrees, if not more,
Very
and
true.
especially when
Yeah.
a storm swings in.
And it looks like the area he's camping is like there's not a lot of trees around, not a lot of tree coverage, so if it starts raining, he's going to be hit. I'm sure it's middle of the summer because he doesn't have a tarp on top of his tent, but yeah, for sure.
So even though it can be 80, 85 degrees during the day, or 25 degrees C in the day, at night the temperatures can drop into the 40s, or like 9, 10 degrees C. That can really upset your experience because you're not prepared. Your fingers are cold, your lips are speaking like this. Another mistake that's very easy to make is not setting up your tent before you leave. It's so tempting to
Yeah, we
go
talked
to the
about
store,
that as well.
purchase
Definitely
a tent,
set up,
say,
and
"Oh,
Julia,
yeah,
you
I'll be
mentioned
able to
that too.
figure this
Yes,
out in the
set
woods."
up your tent
And
before
you
you
get
go.
there and
You
you
never
realize,
know.
oh, I needed to buy
Maybe
steak,
one of your
so
tent
there's some extra.
poles, one of your tent poles is broken. There's holes in the tent. Like, you just never know.
Or there's some weird fiddly stuff that you're trying to figure out at midnight when you get to your camp unexpectedly late. Make sure to take your tent to a park, completely contain it, walk out into a park and set it up in the middle of a park or your backyard or whatever to make sure that you have everything. Because each tent has a little bit of fiddly stuff, like this one has these little clips that are no big deal, but if you don't understand how to use them, your tent can totally fall on your head and ruin your camping
Totally.
trip.
Yeah, the other thing too is when you're packing up your tent the next morning or later in the day, try to dry it out as much as you can to the point where it's either completely dry, or if you can't do that, then hang it up at home. Because what you'll find is that when you hang up your tent, or if you keep it packed away and you don't open it up and let all the water out and dry your tent out, it's gonna straight up get moldy. So your tent poles and everything will get mold in each one of the crevices, and it starts to corrode some of the metal, and it can be a real pain in the butt. So make sure to unpack your tent if it's packed wet. Firstly, try to dry it out at your camp spot if it's a sunny day, hopefully. And if it's just damp and from the dew in the morning, just put it on some branches or hang it up somewhere to get all the water off and dry it off. And then preferably you want to pack it up when it's dry. That's the most ideal situation. But if you can't and you have to pack it up when it's wet, unpack it when you get home. Spend the time to hang it up, dry it off, wipe it down with some towels, because mold can be real pain in the butt, and it's super annoying, and it's just you're not maintaining your tent. It's just laziness.
That said, another thing to consider is making sure to be prepared for how wet it can get at night in the wilderness. So often
Yeah,
during
so
the
we
day,
talked about a lot of these things for sure.
or whatever it is, that if it gets wet, it's going to be ruined. Put it in your tent with you, whatever it might be.
No, exactly what I was talking
is
about.
dressing poorly. As you can see,
Yeah,
I've
so
got
these are
these
like these are definitely common practices for everybody, right? I mean, there's tons of information. There's tons of videos on YouTube that you can look up if you're just getting into camping for the first time. You know, so hopefully this was useful for some of you on the chat. And yeah, I guess I have to continue going back to being a father, so I've got to tend to the little one. And so, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, just take a second or two to hit like and subscribe to the video, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.